Hi, this is Jane with Quick Looks again, and this time we're looking at scary and creepy stories just because it's October and Halloween month. The first one is The Ruins, and I recently saw the movie of that one, so I was interested in the book, and another staff member here at the library read the book and she said it was a really good scary book, so I'm going to try it for myself. But anyway, so it's kind of a thriller horror novel. The author is Scott Smith, and he also wrote a book called A Simple Plan, which is a pretty good book. So I'm going to give The Ruins a try. It's about two young American couples, and they're vacationing in the Yucatan, like Cancun or somewhere like that. And on their vacation, they meet a young German man who is trying to find his brother, who's gone further into the jungle area, into the interior, looking for some lost Mayan ruins that he wants to explore. And this German man has not been able to get a hold of his brother, and so he mentions it to these two young American couples, and they say, oh, we'd really be interested in going and exploring something like that. And so they decide to make a day trip with a young Greek boy. So the German, the young Greek boy, and the two American couples, and they're all in their 20s, they decide to take a day trip and go look at these Mayan ruins. So they all set off, and the young German man is a little iffy on how exactly to get to the ruins. He's got a hand-drawn map, and it's not that good. And finally, they stagger around for a bit in the jungle, and eventually they uncover a hidden trail, like somebody's made the effort to kind of hide this trail. And they follow the trail, and it turns out that there is something dangerous out in the jungle. And of course, the characters encounter this dangerous thing. I'm not going to really tell you what it is because it would ruin the story, although if you've seen the movie, you would know what it was. The book is supposed to be better than the movie, as usual. So the story then ends up being about what happens to these people once they get to the site of these ruins. The movie was pretty good. Like I said, the book has been highly recommended. It is supposed to be very scary, pretty intense. There are some violent scenes. It's suspenseful because you don't know what's going to happen to these people. Right now at the library, it is available as a book. It's also available as an audiobook with the audio CDs. It's available as an e-audiobook, and we also have it as a DVD, so you can watch the movie if you want to too. The next scary story is a book called The Call, and I'm going to not be able to pronounce this gentleman's name correctly. He's an Irishman. His name is Peter O'Gillan. Anyway, this book is categorized as a young adult book. It was actually up for the Young Adult Book Prize, but it seems much more like an adult novel when you're reading it. It's set in contemporary Ireland, but it's like Ireland has some kind of curse on it so that it's cut off from everybody else in the world, and it has like weird myths and things like that. And every teenager at some point, and they don't know exactly when, but every teenager at some point in their life will suddenly be just called, that's why it's called The Call, will be called into the gray land where the Fae live. And these are not the nice Fae, these are the mean ones. So when you're called into the gray land, you have to survive for 3 minutes and 4 seconds, and then you come back to regular Ireland again. Although to the people during the call, it seems like a lot longer than 3 minutes and 4 seconds, but the people that are waiting for them to come back, it's only 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And the vast majority of the people do not make it back from the call. So these kids train a lot for when they're called, kind of like the Hunger Games where you're training so that you'll survive. So the main character, Nessa, is disabled because she suffered from polio when she was a younger girl, but she's very determined to survive. She's very intelligent. And not only are she and her friends trying to survive the Fae for the 3 minutes and 4 seconds in the Greylands, but there are also some people trying to stop her, and they have an agenda, trying to keep Ireland from basically being a successful country. And so this is a short, not very long novel, but it's pretty intense. It's really fast-paced. It does have a lot of action. The setting is very interesting because you got the Greylands and then Ireland. And then Nessa is a really good character, so I really liked her. I did read the entire book. I have not read the second book yet. It does have a lot of violence and mature material, but it's very well written. It's different from any other kind of dystopian novel that I read, like The Hunger Games or something like that. It does end on a cliffhanger, and the book then continues continues in book 2, which is called The Invasion. So book 1 is The Call. Like I said, it ends on a cliffhanger, and then it continues right away with book 2, The Invasion. Book 1, The Call, we have as a book only. The Invasion, which is book 2, is available as an ebook on Libby and also as an e-audio on Hoopla. And once again, I really like the book. It's different from anything I've ever read. It's a YA book, but it really read much more like an adult novel. Then the last spooky book is The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. It's been here at the library for a few months. It does get checked out quite a bit. It was recommended to me by another staff member, and so I went ahead and read it. It's about an old mining village whose residents all just disappeared one day in 1959 and have never been seen again, and nobody knows what happened to them. The buildings were all fine, but the only humans are a newborn baby and a woman who was murdered in the town center. So when the authorities show up, because they haven't heard from anybody in this town, that's all that's left. The buildings, the woman who's been murdered, and a newborn baby. So years and years go by, and a documentary filmmaker named Alice goes with a crew to the village to make a film about it. And her grandmother was actually a resident of the village, but moved away before everybody disappeared. And she lost her entire family. The rest of her entire family disappeared. The grandmother was the only one left. So now the granddaughter, Alice, has come back to this village and wants to find out what happened. She's going to make this documentary, and she brings her whole crew with her. There's not too many people, but she does bring a pretty decent crew. And as soon as they get everything set up in this village, and it's very isolated, it's in Sweden, so it's cold. So after they get everything set up, their camp, strange things start to happen. Their equipment, it gets broken or missing. People start just disappearing, and they're all looking for them and they can't find them. Suddenly they realize that someone else is in the village and is after all of them. So the book does go back and forth between the past and what happened in this village in the past, and then the present. So with Alice doing her film, it's in the present. I mean, they never actually get a chance, it seems like, to film anything because all these bad things start happening so soon. It is a big mystery because you want to know what happened to this town. It's pretty suspenseful. It's also really sad because some of the people in the town in the past were pretty evil. So there's a lot of bad things that happened. So The Lost Village does have a pretty creepy atmosphere because these people are cut off in this old abandoned mining village and people are disappearing. And then also in the past, it's creepy too because these bad things are happening and you can't believe that, people are like going along with some of the stuff that happens. This book, The Lost Village, was one of the most anticipated books of the year. It was on a lot of must-read lists. The author does have several other books. She's from, I believe she's from Sweden. It is available at the library as a book. I believe it does have a couple hold requests right now. It's also available as an ebook. But anyway, there's 3 kind of spooky stories that are all pretty good books, and we'll see you next time for a couple more scary stories. Thanks. Bye-bye.